That's a whole epistemic position based on all kinds of assumptions. So you're
And
assuming
that proposition, can that actually be experienced and tested and observed in empirical data? The proposition that you just said.
Do I experience things?
No, I didn't ask that. I said the proposition.
I experience things, and I can extrapolate
no,
things.
I didn't say
so
that.
that's how I give rise to what I do.
That proposition.
Dude, you need to let people finish.
Hold on.
You need to let people finish, dude.
Hold on. So you're expressing naive empiricism, which is a philosophical position on knowledge and knowing objects in the world. It includes all kinds of presuppositions, and they've been teased out countless times by many philosophers like David Hume. So all we're doing is asking you to tease out and give an account for the position that you have in terms of epistemology. And he gave a rebuttal that the very position itself, the phrase, I know what I know according to my, sense data, or however you phrased it, what matches up to my senses and sense data. That phrase itself can't be known by sense data. So that's a classic just critique of empiricism.
Yeah, I guess if you want me to say that I have to hedge my bets on some things which have to be true even though their truth is unknowable, I would have to just shrug and say, okay.
Then you have no argument.
Then you don't have an argument.
I wouldn't have an argument against whether or not it's knowable. I can have arguments,
anything.
though.
No, you don't have an argument for anything at all.
Is it not possible to form arguments off of necessarily unjustified presuppositional beliefs?
No, you can't. That's exactly.
Then how do you? So are you saying that you are without?
You just asked me.
Hang on.
I have some presuppositional beliefs in which everything that I'm about to argue is dependent upon, but I don't have to justify that.
Wait, why don't you have to justify them?
That's your position. You just gave back.
Stating your position, dude.
I'm stating your position back to you.
Okay, good. So we're on the exact same page now.
If that's the case, you can't critique us, and we can just say we don't have to justify.
Yeah, what I'm trying to illustrate is what you just said. It was that position, and that means there is no argument. You're literally saying I'm going to say a bunch of things based on a bunch of other things that I don't have to. I just made a bet on.
If that argument contradicts experience, then it doesn't matter what you presuppose.
Now you're back to
question. We're asking for a justification that you can trust your senses, and you just keep saying my senses.
That's presupposed.
Yeah, we're asking for
the reliability of senses is a presupposition that I know is unjustifiable.
Asking for a justification for a belief in the principle itself, and you're saying I don't have to.
Well, for belief itself, I mean, the first belief that I have is that I'm capable of belief. Next question.
If you're going to be consistent, then we're just going to say, okay, you're going to get annoyed when we just accept that standard and say, okay, we don't need to justify our belief in God. Okay, next question.
Well, the issue is then, the more important question would be then, what is God?
We don't have to give an answer for that next question. It's presupposed. Do you see how that doesn't work to critique or to give argument?
Is God just any presupposition whatsoever?
No.
Then what is God?
Do you see what I'm pointing out? Do you see what I'm pointing out?
Can we do it? Let's do one person at a time.
Go ahead.
So are you saying that presuppositions are necessarily unquestionable as well? That even if they are unjustified, we can't question, even if we know that they were justifiable and unadopted, that we can't question them?
Hush for a second, please. So we're not saying that presuppositions are unjustified. We're asking you for a justification. That's all we're doing. We believe
presuppositions are definitionally unjustifiable, though.
No, that's not true.
Problem.
You're totally wrong. We completely disagree with that. So you don't know what you're talking about. That's what.
How do you justify a presupposition?
By the impossibility to contrary, by showing that it's a necessary precondition for the possibility of knowledge. This is what transcendental arguments are. That's what we do here.
Oh, this is the transcendental argument? Hang on. There's a paper. I'm trying to remember what it is. I know that there's a name, and I know that there's a paper that basically all but demonstrated the impossibility of a transcendence arguments being.
If you want, so I'm not interested in the fact that you knew of a paper one time. Do you have arguments that you want to make? Because we just critiqued your basic empiricism, and you're saying I don't have to give an account for empiricism. Okay, then what? Then I don't have to give an account for theism, and you don't have an argument.
Well, the issue is that if we are to try to account for theism, you'd have to demonstrate the necessity of what you term God. That is, you have to define God for me so that I can determine whether or not I find that to be a necessary thing for the universe.
Yeah, but I don't have to do that if you've just admitted that nobody has to justify their presuppositions.
I said that presuppositions are unjustifiable. That does not mean that there can be presuppositions that are wrong.
I just said we don't have to justify our presuppositions. So
that doesn't preclude them from the possibility of being wrong.
Okay, so then what's your criteria for determining the true and the false?
Non-contradiction is a good start.
Yeah. So, and how do you justify logic? Well, you're going to say it's what appeals, what matches up to reality, right? Is it also an empirical thing?
Logic is probably going to be extrapolated from the way that we experience things. Yes.
Yeah, so that's what you said in the first proposition, which you couldn't justify. So now you're back to another circle.
The only thing that I can justify is that I have experience, and all things else are going to be sort of extrapolated from there.
You can't even justify that. That's why you keep not understanding the question.
Well, it's because it's kind of self-evident that I have experience.
Okay, then it's self-evident that God exists. If you can appeal to self-evident,
and what is God?
It doesn't matter, because all I have to do, if you can do that in the debate, I can do that in the debate. So
wait, what is God though? Because I can describe what experience is.
No, you can't.
Want me to, I can't.
You just said no. You can't. Are you aware of the problems of empiricism in terms of like the external world, in terms of
I'm literally a high school dropout. You're gonna have to drop down to like kid language for me. Sorry.
We're gonna move on. This is stupid.